episode 153 of the podcast. We've all heard it. We may have even said it. Oh, it's just grooming. I'm not hurting you. But who decides what hurts and what doesn't? Not causing an injury is different than not hurting. So who decides? Find out this week. You're listening to the Creating Great Grooming Dogs podcast. I'm Chrissy Newmeyer-Smith. I'm a certified professional groomer, a certified behavior consultant for canines, a certified professional dog trainer, and the owner of Happy Critters in Nashua, New Hampshire. And this, my friends and colleagues, is the podcast where grooming and training meet. We've all heard it. We've probably all said it, but it's just grooming. I'm not hurting you. It's just a nail trim. This doesn't hurt. Nail trims don't hurt. But we need to think about what the dog is experiencing. So physical hurt and physical injury can be different. And I think that injuries are an obvious hurt or pain. Most of us would readily accept that that's an injury and that would hurt. But what about other types of hurt? What about when a dog yelps? Should we trust that this dog could be expressing that something hurts? And it's an interesting question, isn't it? Because I know that I've caught myself insisting to a poor dog that this doesn't hurt you. And then I uncover an injury, and I have to accept that the dog was right. It's time to eat some humble pie and accept that I can't always know if something hurts or not. And I think that we sometimes assume that the process on a normal dog in a normal time would not hurt. So therefore, this dog is just being dramatic. And don't we do that? We do. I know I have been there. I'm just totally going to accept that. I'm admitting it. I've been there where I'm thinking that couldn't possibly hurt you. However, who can possibly know if something hurts? And that's the dog. The dog that we're working on is truly the only one who knows. Now, that dog may or may not try to give us clear signs that something hurts. And some of that is due to past experience. So imagine this dog is scared and they're really, really too scared to really even show you how they feel. And that's frozen, that freeze. Or maybe they've learned through experience that no one's going to listen or pay attention to anything subtle, so they jump straight to behaviors meant to make it stop or to make us go away. Now, what are those behaviors? To add distance, to increase distance between us. What are some of those behaviors we might see? Whether it's pain or not, if it's hurt or not, or injury or not, that could be a dog who's afraid and just saying, I'm not having any of this. And my past experience says that this is going to be scary. So if they're trying to make us go away, how do they do that? Well, those could be things like growling. That could be trying to break free, squirm away. That could be air snaps. That could be muzzle punches. That could be bites that don't leave a mark. Which, by the way, let's talk about that for a minute. Bites that don't leave a mark aren't a dog who missed. He didn't miss. I think that that's a really common thing that we're like, whew, boy, glad he didn't connect there. That's a dog who is choosing to not connect. That's a dog who is still trying to not hurt you. Don't push that dog further. They're telling you, I'm fast enough to get there. I'm choosing to not hurt you. So, as a side note, I just figured I'd mention that there. But also, I want you to think, so there are air snaps, muzzle punches, bites that don't leave marks, and then there's also the dog who is ready to do some damage, who's going to do some biting that can lead to damage. And we see these things a lot. And sometimes we need to step back and say, is there a physical component that this dog is reacting to? Maybe I think it shouldn't hurt, but maybe this dog doesn't understand that, or it does hurt. Maybe it does hurt. How many times do we uncover a problem? So I'm going to give you an example. Time that an owner was telling me, she's like, I don't think my dog is sore. I'm like, I think she's kind of sore in that back foot. She's not usually like this with this back foot. And she was just shifting her weight around a lot, not wanting me to pick up the other back foot. If you're not a groomer, you might not know this, but it might not be the foot that you're working on that's sore. It might be standing on the sore foot while you work on a different foot. So back feet come in pairs, front feet come in pairs. But I uncovered that she had a piece of acorn stuck in between her pads of her feet that was sharp. We really might have missed that if I listened to the owner who said, oh, I would know if my dog was in pain. It's like, that would be really easy to miss. It had been missed for, I don't know, however many hours before I got there. And who knows if it had been there for days. Who knows? So sometimes we find something. And when I pulled it out, that dog was quite relieved. But I think that we have to think about, does this hurt? And maybe we're not causing an injury. Maybe we're really thinking it's just grooming. Oh my God, it's just the hair around your eyes. But maybe it's not about what we're doing near their eyes. Maybe it's about the way we're trying to tilt their head. Maybe it's about a neck injury. Maybe it's about the way that we're holding their head. I find a lot of groomers tend to hold cheek hair. And I'm not against that. I'm just saying that be aware that for a lot of dogs, when you're holding their cheek hair, you're kind of pulling on their gums, which is rubbing up against whatever dreadful, holy hell, crazy land is going on with their teeth. So sometimes we're actually making their teeth sore while we're working up near their eyes. But we need to think about this dog's physical comfort. We're often way too sure of ourselves that this doesn't hurt. Oh my God, I'm just trimming around your eyes. Just hold your head still. But maybe we're asking them to hold their head in a way that is making them balance on their front legs that hurt. Or asking them to do something else that they just are having trouble doing. And I want you to think about that. Because those moments where we're saying things like this doesn't hurt are moments the dog is having a hard time. We don't say this doesn't hurt for a dog who's being great. Right? The dog who's calm, comfortable, and cooperative, we're not usually coaching them through like, and this doesn't hurt, and this doesn't hurt, right? We kind of say these things once we start having a dog who's having a hard time. So we've talked about it before, and I'll talk about it now because I get new listeners all the time, and maybe this is the first time you've heard the podcast, but dogs aren't giving us a hard time. They're having a hard time. So if a dog is having a hard time, before we jump to this doesn't hurt, perhaps we should be asking, does this hurt? Does this hurt? Is there something I am doing that could make you more comfortable? Is there a problem here? But the dogs that we're saying things like, this doesn't hurt, oh my God, it's just a nail trim, they're already having a hard time. Maybe they're afraid. Maybe they're being afraid of being forced to do scary things or have scary things done to them. And that happens a lot. Being forced to do scary stuff is the scary stuff. That is the issue. And I see it over and over and over again. We force dogs past what they're telling us they can handle. And then we wonder why they overreact. Because it's scary. Because we're pushing them to do something scary and not allowing them to feel comfortable. So when a dog is scared and the scary thing keeps happening, and we keep pushing the scary thing, what are the choices that a dog has? And for a lot of dogs, that pushes them right into freeze, flight, or fight responses. And so a lot of dogs will freeze first, and it's often mistaken for now he's being calm and being good. But a dog who is frozen is going to spring into action if we keep going. All right, that's a dog who is suddenly very, very stiff, very rigid. It's almost like they're sitting there going, maybe they'll go away, maybe they'll go away, maybe they'll go away. And we need to address that. We want them to be calm, comfortable, and cooperative. We don't want them to be stiff. We don't want them to be frozen with fear. Because if you continue on a dog who is frozen with fear, one of the next versions comes up, which could be flight. I'm going to try to run away. I'm going to try to get away. Frozen didn't work. And they're not making this as a logical decision. Their body takes over. Their adrenaline pumps up. They have more blood going to their muscles. They're moving around. They're like, I'm going to just get out of here, just get out of here. And if we block them getting out of there, which is often when we're saying things like, this doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Oh my God, it's just a nail trim. It's just a nail trim. I just need to get your tail. I just need to pick up your tail. It's just cleaning your bum, whatever it is. If we are still continuing to push them through without calming them down, they're very likely to jump to the next step, which is fight. Not because they're even thinking it through, because we have pushed them into panic. So now they're going to fight with us. And we're still chanting things like, it doesn't hurt. I don't understand why he's like this. Cleaning bums doesn't hurt, but maybe lifting his tail does hurt. Or maybe holding his tail while he struggles away from you causes him discomfort. And in the next part, we're going to talk a little bit more about that discomfort because I think that you're going to be able to relate to it when I give you some examples. If you're enjoying this podcast, please remember to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes and tell all of your friends. Let's imagine that we are working with a dog who's struggling. They started flailing around, now they're air snapping at us, maybe they're trying to bite us, and we're holding them still and we're like, oh my God, why is this dog like this? It doesn't hurt. Now, I know many of you don't do that because you've been listening to the podcast for a long time and you have lots of other experiences that say this is not the best way to groom animals. But it is still so common in dog world, so we need to talk about it. I have definitely been there. I was not always the groomer and trainer that I am today. And what I see, because I still see it happening, is that if we spend a moment to really ponder it, what is happening in that moment? The dog is flailing around. The dog is trying to bite at us. What is really happening in that moment? Let's think about it. Picture it. Picture somebody that maybe you've seen doing this. Maybe one of those awful videos that you see with somebody who's just pushing a dog to the point that they can't handle anymore and they're alligator rolling on the lead and, think about those moments. What is happening? Because I'll tell you what, that's when a lot of groomers get hurt. That's what drives people to listen to this show pretty often is that I don't want to get hurt by dogs anymore. I'm sick of these behavior problems. We get hurt. We're pulling against a dog who's pushing against us. We're trying to hold down a dog who's trying to lift up. We're getting air snapped at. We're getting scratched to heck, right? We're getting hurt. But dog grooming doesn't hurt, does it? Yeah, see, now if someone tells you, oh, well, that doesn't hurt. Nail trims don't hurt. You'd be instantly saying, I've been hurt during a nail trim. The dog just hurt me. We know that things like that hurt. Yet, sometimes we have trouble making the leap that the dog in that interaction is getting hurt too. That dog is struggling. That dog is pulling against the grooming loop. That dog is flailing around for their life. They honestly think they're gonna die. They're pushing against you. They're flailing. They're torquing their neck. They're twisting their legs in funny positions. And they're way too adrenalized for you to see any signs of pain later. They are having an episode that could hurt them, and we are provoking it. We are, because it's not emergency medicine. In an emergency, you might have to do something like that to sedate a dog to get them under, to actually take care of them, but dog grooming? No, we shouldn't be pushing dogs to that point. More than just my opinion, that's part of our humane standards and codes of conduct across a lot of different fields in the dog world. That's not something we should be doing just to get nails done, or to do a haircut, or to clean an ear, or to get under a bum. But I want you to be thinking about the variety of things that happen in that moment. That dog is getting hurt. That dog is learning that nail trims hurt. That dog is learning that grooming hurts. And I'm going to circle back to adrenaline rushes because I think that if any of you have played sports, I think it's a little bit more obvious if you've played a sport or maybe you're a runner and you know about that runner's high, but adrenaline feels good and it blocks pain. You're not going to show how much something hurts. So my own background, all right, I'll share this. I think I've shared this before, but I used to get into armor and sword fight. If you're interested, look up SCA Heavy List. I used to do that stuff. Anyway, there are plenty of times you're like, ooh, that's going to hurt later. Because there's no way it's going to hurt now, right? I'm all pumped up. Everything's going great. I'm super jacked up. I'm super excited. I've got this adrenaline coursing through my system. Yeah, I'm not limping off the field. I'm like, nope, feel good. And everyone's like, yeah, you got hit hard. We saw that. I think that a lot of athletes recognize that. And groomers, sometimes we're all adrenalized too. And it's later on that we're like, ooh, maybe I did pull my shoulder. Maybe I did hurt myself. Now, that's the kind of experience these dogs are often having too. And that's more than just me being anthropomorphic, but their physiology is similar enough that we can assume that if they are super adrenalized, thinking that they're going to die, trying to escape from a grooming situation, that yes, I think it's safe for us to assume that that adrenaline is also coursing through their body and preventing them from limping off your table later. But that doesn't mean that we didn't hurt them. And it actually doesn't mean that we didn't cause injury. So a dog who later on, let's say maybe their next nail trim. I will give you an example of a dog I used to work with. He started becoming really, really weird about his right back foot getting his nails done after the vet did his nails. And this is a customer that I ended up firing because she just wasn't going to have the vet not do his nails. And I'm like, but they're undoing all of this good training. You have seen, you have witnessed that I can get him to trust me and be good for nails. And I do his nails more often than the vet anyway. So within 3 sessions, I can get him trusting me again. And then by the time I come over for a 4th session, you've let the vet and 3 techs hold him down. Then I'm back at the beginning again. But it was only 1 foot. And what does that tell me? That tells me it got injured. Just 1 foot? That's not the normal, oh, I'm afraid of nail trimming. That's, this foot is the one I'm scared about because this one got hurt. And it happens a lot. So when we start talking about who decides what hurts and what doesn't, I'm always going to see if the dog is trying to tell me if something hurts. Is this dog saying that this hurts? Is this dog telling me this is too scary? I can't handle this. Because being too scared is going to lead to a dog who is likely to jump into freezing or trying to run away or trying to fight back. So then we're in a situation where they can get hurt and we can get hurt. And we don't need that in grooming. We don't need that in the grooming process. That's not part of grooming. No matter how important that nail trim may be, it's not going to go away if we continue to press these dogs into getting things done. That's not how we're going to teach them to trust us. And trust is very important. So we need to think about their physical safety, but also, are they telling us that this hurts? And that's part of assessing the dog and thinking about what this dog needs and what this dog is trying to tell us. And how can we help them be calm? We want them to be calm. How can we help that? How can we help them be comfortable? Physical comfort, like I said, maybe it's the way we're tilting their head to get around the eyes done. Maybe it's the sound of something that's very, very loud and the owners forgot to tell you that he has an ear infection that you haven't noticed yet. So maybe there's something physical happening. That would be comfort. And cooperative. We want them to cooperate with us, and that means we meet them halfway. We meet them part way. It's not obedient, it's cooperative, which means they cooperate with us and we cooperate with them. So if a dog is trying to tell you, I am uncomfortable with this, then we need to circle back and take a look and see how we can help them be calm, comfortable, and cooperative. Because we are accidentally hurting animals if we're pushing them past what they can handle. And it happens all the time. And our modern practices have shown us over and over and over again that in most cases, I can't say all cases, but in most cases, we can teach dogs to be good for grooming. So shouldn't that be the process we're looking at? Shouldn't we be thinking, I'm going to teach you how to be good? Now, I know what always happens is someone out there, this is the first time listening to the podcast, and they're like, great, tell us how. And I don't have 2-minute answer. Like, oh, and this is how you teach them to be good. So my 2-minute answer for how to teach them to be good is for us to take full responsibility of setting the mood, setting the tone, and being aware of what this dog is comfortable with and building on their comfort. What we're doing every time we work with a dog is we have to think about, is this dog comfortable with this or not? And how can I help them be comfortable for the future? Even if it means we don't do a pretty trim today, even if it means we don't do all of the nails on that foot. Maybe it means that we're going to spend a little bit of time just getting them used to the way we have to hold for nail trimming on that foot. So I want you to think about each of the things that we do with a dog on any given day plants a seed. And is that seed that we're planting today going to give us a dog who is comfortable in the future? Or are we actually planting a seed for something that we're going to weed out later? So if that helps you at all, even though it's the 2-minute answer for something that obviously takes a lot more time to explain, but every interaction we are planting a seed. Are you growing weeds in your garden? Or are you growing something that you actually wanted to have, like beautiful roses or tomatoes? So if we're thinking about the moment right now, is going to tell us a little bit about how this dog feels about being groomed in the future, then it's a little bit more clear. We want to help them be calm, help them be comfortable, and we want them to cooperate with us. And if they act like maybe something is scary or something hurts, then it's scary or it hurts, and we should take their word for it. And okay, that's totally my opinion, but I think that I'm going to stand by that. If they act like it's scary, then it's scary for them. If they act like it hurts, then I'm going to assume that it hurts them. And just making those assumptions can really change the way that the whole interaction plays out. If you'd like more information, you can find me at Chrissy@happycritters.net, happycrittersdogtraining.com, or you can join the Facebook group Creating Great Grooming Dogs podcast or the Facebook page Creating Great Grooming Dogs. I really look forward to hearing from you.